Hello, my name is Andy Hunt. I'm a Hunt County native, and I'm running for Commissioner Precinct 2. My family moved to Hunt County in the late 1800s, and we purchased the first family farm around 1905. My wife and I, Dina, live on that family farm at this time. Our son, we have 2 grown children and 3 grandchildren. Our son, Luke, 31, served 6 years in the United States Air Force and had obtained his A&P license and is now attending Texas A&M Commerce. He also began his singing career here at the Kettle Mills Opry. Our daughter, Ashley, 29, received her degree from Texas A&M Commerce and worked for the Northeast Texas Crisis Center, where my wife and I have done some volunteer work. Ashley and her husband, BJ, moved to Washington, D.C. after he joined the Navy. He had the privilege to work at the Pentagon while Ashley worked for Congressman Ralph Hall. They have now relocated back to Austin, where BJ is attending the University of Texas. Our family's belief is to be a servant to our Maker, our family, and to our community. I've worked at L3 Communications for 33 years. I started there as a machinist and have progressed to supervisory positions. My job duties require me to be accurate and detail-oriented.
Andy,
yes.
You hold the mic a little closer.
Okay, excuse me. Be accurate and detail-oriented. I've worked with U.S. government contracts, U.S. commercial contracts, and international contracts, as well as helped develop and manage departmental budgets. Some of my job responsibilities have been as a machinist, as an NC programmer, detail planner of production work instructions, internal auditor of mechanical processes, MRP controller, supervisor of machine shop activities, and currently a supervisor of warehouse and tool crib operations for manufacturing. My goal in becoming commissioner is to meet the needs and concerns of the people of Precinct 2. I will conduct county business as a conservative in an honest and ethical manner, and work cohesively within the Commissioner's Court and with other elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go on here, I just want to say this Meet the Candidate Night is for our commissioner candidates, Andy Hunt and Tod McMahan, and then on the county county judge will be for John Horn and Jerry Minter, and John is not here tonight, so I believe Cindy Terrell will be speaking for him. And then at the district judge, Steve Tittle and Andy Finch, and then Andy is unable to be here tonight, so his father, David, then will speak for him. With Todd.
Well, good evening. Boy, it's just awesome to see this turnout here and see that we've got this much concern for what's going on in our local level of government in this community. And I have to say, this is an outstanding community. It's the place where I grew up and the place that I love. I'm Tod McMahan, and I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 2. With the exception of the 4 years that I served in the United States Marine Corps, I've lived my entire life in Hunt County. More specifically, in and around Caddo, I grew up on a small farm just outside of town and proud just to live inside the city limits. Been married to Marina McMahon for 24 years, and we have 3 children. The oldest, Elizabeth's 21, and she's currently a senior at Texas A&M Commerce. My son Seth is 17, and he's a senior at Kettle Mills High School. And my youngest daughter, Emily, is 14, and she's a freshman at Kettle Mills High School. I spent the last 29 years working for Greenville Fire Rescue, and I currently hold the rank of battalion chief. In that position, I'm responsible for leading and supervising one shift of firefighters, which is 1/3 of the department. I've also spent the last 14 years serving on the Caddo Mills Independent School District Board of Trustees. 9 of those years, I've had the pleasure of serving as board president. In my capacities as battalion chief and as school board president, I've been involved in the budgetary processes for both Greenville Fire Department and Caddo Mills ISD. And both budgets require analyzing the needs for operational costs, capital expenditures, and debt service. And I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of years ago, in the last biennium for the state legislature, they decided that we didn't need $5 billion of that school funding. And they cut it out, and that also affected Caddo. And it was the first deficit budget that I can remember adopting. It was a little over $200,000 deficit budget. We didn't have to go through a RIF. We didn't have to have a reduction in force. We had a couple of teachers retire that we didn't replace. Other than that, we just moved a couple of people around, and we were able to retain all of our staff. By the end of that budget year, we had also put over $100,000 into fund balance. So we went from a negative of $200,000 to a positive of $100,000, and that doesn't come without a little bit of planning. In my roles as battalion chief and school board president, I've been blessed to work with and alongside some very outstanding individuals. And I've learned a great deal in both positions. I've learned how to listen, which is a very important skill too often neglected. I've learned how to analyze facts and use them as a foundation for making sound decisions. And I've learned how to direct, lead, and lead the skills and talents of those that I supervise in order to provide the best service and ensure the best outcomes. I've also learned to be thankful for those that have given their best in order to serve others. I'd like to close with a couple of things that I believe. I believe in the people who live in Hunt County. Some of the most generous, caring, and giving people that you ever want to meet. I believe that Hunt County is on the edge of significant growth in both residential and business sectors. And I believe that there will be challenges ahead that are associated with that growth. But that by working together and persevering, those challenges will be met and overcome. I believe county government should be responsive, responsible, and transparent. And I believe as elected officials, we should always remember we're representatives of those we serve, and that service is both an honor and a privilege. And I would be honored to serve as Commissioner of Precinct 2. Thank you.
All right, we will begin the question and answer session, and I have 4 different questions up here. If you have a question that you'd like to have asked, just write it down and hand it to Bobby, and he'll get it to me, and I'll ask that question for you. I'll ask the question to each one of the candidates. I'll give them 2 to 3 minutes to answer, and then the first person who answers the question will get a brief time to clear anything up with any questions that might be said by the other candidate. And I think Andy is our first one to coin toss, so he'll get the question first. And the first question, Andy, is what is your understanding of the unit road system, and would you support it in Hunt County?
My understanding of that is consolidation of effort and equipment. But honestly, I would have to do a little more research and look into that. I can definitely see the benefits of going in that direction, but it does bear other looking into as far as the effectiveness and validity of all that. It could be advantageous.
Todd, you want me to restate it?
No, that's okay.
shut at this portion.
There are 4 different systems that a county can use to maintain its roads. Currently, we use the default system, whereby the precinct commissioner is the one that directs the efforts that are put forward in his precinct, and he sets the priorities in his precinct. Under the unit road system, those decisions are made by a county road engineer that's hired to supervise all of the road work in the county. That process can be beneficial from the standpoint of consolidating equipment and manpower, but without doing your due diligence and research, there's no way to say that if it's a true fit for your county. And I'll give you an example. Our sister county, Collin County, currently uses the unit road system. And they're a good place to start comparing because, like Hunt County, they're similar in size. Hunt County's 840 square miles. Collin County's 841. Hunt County has a little over 800 miles of county road. Collin County has 725. So those are some good comparisons right there. But that's where the comparisons kind of stop. Hunt County's population density is 102 people per square mile. Collin County's is over 900. Hunt County's tax base is 5.5 billion. Collin County's is a little over 85 billion. So you have to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. Talk with our fellow county commissioners and other counties, see how the unit road system has worked for them, see what the pluses are, see what the minuses are. I would be very in favor of analyzing that and seeing if it really makes sense for us to go to it. Thanks.
All right, Andy, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Nothing for it.
Okay. All right, then our next question, we'll go back to Andy. All right. Andy, second question to you is, what do you think about Mr. Atkins' plans to tear up the hard surface road and turn them into rock roads?
But honestly, I cannot be in favor of that. We've progressed to the point of having the hard surface road, and we should maintain that. We have to do everything we can to keep the allocated budget for precinct 2 here in the precinct, and I believe it should be there in order to maintain those roads as paved roads.
All right.
I can never see going backwards. While it may be time for some of those roads to be rehabilitated and some more toppings added and maybe even repaved and rebuilt, I can never see it going backwards when what you have is worked so well. We have, like I said before, we have 800 linear miles of road, county road in Hunt County, and some 230 of those are paved or hard surface. Somewhere between 75 and 100 of those are in Precinct 2, and Precinct 2 has about 300 miles of county roads in it right now. So we're a third of the way almost to being completely paved. I can see no purpose in going backwards.
Okay. Andy, do you have anything? Okay. All right, then our third question going to Andy again is, what do you see as the areas needing the most attention for the commissioners?
In visiting with the people of Precinct 2, it appears that their primary concern is safety as well as road and bridge. The county has made great strides so far in having law enforcement representation, having first responders, and I think we need to continue that with our support. The Another thing, basically, I guess overall, is improving the infrastructure of Hunt County, of Precinct 2. We have a large push coming towards us in population, and I believe we should be ready for that to also help encourage economic development. Thank you.
All right.
While there's no doubt that the roads and bridges, the county roads and bridges, need constant and direct attention, once again looking to our neighbor to the west, Collin County, if we look at the potential for explosive growth that is facing us, I mean, we are going to have to plan and do the best we can to get ahead of that growth. Let me give you some numbers. McKinney's population in 2000 was 54,000 people. That's the county seat. In 2010, it had grown to 131,000 people. And that's the kind of stuff that's very difficult to plan for, very difficult to stay ahead of. But we've got to start looking that direction because it's coming over here, whether we want it or not. And we should want it because it's going to stimulate the economy. The higher the tax base is, the lower the tax rate should be. That's just simple math. So I think our biggest concern is to look at the growth that's coming this way and make sure it's managed. Make sure that we don't have businesses and developers coming in that are going to put something in that's not going to last. That's what we need to be about, looking for the future and making sure we build for the future.
Andy, do you have anything you'd like to restate or?
Okay.
Okay. All right, then our fourth question. Anybody have any questions that you'd like to have asked? I'd ask you to get them over to Bobby here so you can get them up to me and I'll get them asked for you. Andy, the fourth question is, what is the latest info on the toll road coming through the county?
The last information I heard on that was that effort has basically been scrapped as far as utilizing the railway that was now, I guess that was being looked at as being the primary route. I believe they're still looking at possible other solutions as far as improvements to Interstate 30, things of that nature. But the last I've heard was that they were not going to utilize that railway for that tollway. I've not heard that they're scrapping the whole idea altogether yet, though.
All right, Todd?
Blacklands Corridor study that was commissioned by the North Central Texas Council of Governments, COG, and encompasses an area of approximately 400 square miles, is scheduled to be complete in December of this year. The part of the study that specifically deals with toll road is scheduled to be done by the end of April. And as far as I know, that study is still going forward. I received a mailer just last week that indicated that. And we, by the way, our county does have a representative on the North Central Council of Governments, on the executive board, and our current county judge is the secretary treasurer. He should know what's going on if anybody does. I haven't visited with him about it, but I just saw his name there and knew that was a fact. As far as I know, the toll road hasn't gone completely away, but of the people that have been polled with their concerns on the Blackland Corridor study, 70% of the respondents addressed the toll road issue. So your voices are being heard on that. And don't give up. Keep calling your reps.
All right. Andy, did you have any clarification? The fifth question that I have, Andy, goes to you, and it's a question that says for both of you. It says, how long have you been a constitutional conservative, and that has to do with pro-life and pro-family?
I've probably been a constitutional conservative all my life. As far as being officially a Republican, probably 20 years. The mindset, I guess, or the parties have changed over the years. Whenever I was young, most of the conservatives were in the Democratic Party, and that has shifted over to the Republican Party. So it's, I guess, roughly 20 years officially as a Republican. Thank you.
With regards to being pro-life, I don't think I've ever been anything but. You can't do the job that I do day in and day out and not know how precious and how valuable life is. Whether it's a new life, one that's just beginning, or one that's been around for a while. Life is a very valuable resource, a very valuable commodity. You shouldn't waste it in any way, shape, or form. You know, our founding fathers were some pretty wise men. And in the Declaration of Independence, they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't think it gets any better than that. Okay, any clarification?
No, thank you.
Okay. I have one final question. If you nobody else has a question, I'll ask this question, and then we will close up this session and let these gentlemen do their closing statements. I'm not sure that this really applies to you gentlemen, but it would be something that might come before the Commissioners Court. The question is, can we fix the old bridge in Newlandville? And something about it being broken, and is it a concern? I believe that's in another precinct, but I'll go ahead and ask it.
Quite honestly, I would have to investigate that further. I'd hate to make a call on that, just like I would hate to make any promises that I don't feel that I can keep. Thank you.
I believe I have to investigate that too.
All right. I think it's probably a serious issue. It just is not in this precinct, and it would probably be something that would be handled by the commissioner in that precinct. All right. Do we have any other questions for the candidates? Okay, let's take about 5 minutes and let you get some coffee if you like, go to the restroom, and then we'll come back and have closing statements for these two gentlemen. We'll start on the county judge candidates. All right, again, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys coming in tonight.
Every second Saturday night, we also have a museum upstairs, which is quite nice. We're normally open on special occasions, requests or like homecomings, things like that. We try to do public service things such as fundraisers and educational processes, which is what this is tonight. We have done one of these before at the city level. This is our first attempt at doing one at the county level, so setting up a little. Once again, I'd like to tell you that we have a concession stand back there to help yourself. I hope you will stick around after the sessions are over. And
Okay, that's just in case you didn't get it the first time. All right, again, gentlemen, thank you for both of you coming out tonight and taking out of your busy schedule to answer questions and present yourselves to the public here. And I'd like to give you a chance to do a closing statement. And Andy, since you won the 20 toss, we'll let you go first.
With roughly 2.5 weeks away from the primary election, it's very important for those that are supporting me to continue to reach out to their families, their friends, neighbors, and coworkers. I've had the privilege to meet some wonderful people, and I've made some new friends. It's also important to understand that the people of Hunt County Precinct 2 have voiced their concerns and have a great deal of validity to those issues. As your next county commissioner, these issues will not go unaddressed. It'll be my privilege to represent the people of Precinct 2, and thank you very much for your vote. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Well, once again, I'd like to thank each of you for coming out this evening and showing the interest that you've shown. And this has been such a remarkable process. Running for office does take a lot of time, does take a lot of effort. And I don't think a bit of it has been wasted. Just from the people that I've got to meet, the people that I've got to visit with, the people in Caddo that I haven't seen for a while that I've got to visit with and shake their hand or hug their neck. That's been awesome. I'd like to thank each one of you guys for your support, your encouragement, and your willingness to look up and see what the issues are. And tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your families, tell those that you love to come out and get to the polls and support the one that you want to support. And I'd be honored to serve as Precinct 2 Commissioner, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.